With the launch of Season 7 less than 2 weeks away, and the developers just announcing the next live stream, I wanted to share with you some of the things that I like to do to prep for the next season. Now, if you're brand new to the game and you haven't done this yet, make sure you hop into the game right now and get this started. Ladies, gentlemen, primeval hunters, welcome back. If you're new to Diablo 4, welcome. This is going to be for you. This very first thing that we're going to talk about today is going to be Renown. Renown is a reputation-based system. This gives you rewards by completing different objectives throughout the game. There are different tiers of the objectives. You get a lot of different rewards, from skill points to paragon points, all the way up through additional potions. This is going to be something that if you have not completed yet, you need to get it done now to set yourself up for the best experience starting out in Season 7. And the reason that we're going to cover this 2 weeks before the start of the season is because this is definitely a little bit of a grind. So you want to give yourself enough time to space this out so you do not burn out doing this. But I'm going to share with you a couple things that are going to make this a lot easier, so this way you don't have to pull out your hair trying to get this done. What Renown is, when you bring up your map, you're going to see this up here where it says Claim Rewards. When you pull up that menu, that brings up your Renown system. This is your reward page here. If you look, you have 6 different zones. This is only if you have the DLC. If you don't have the expansion pack, that's okay. Renown is still a part of the game and is still super important to get this done. This has changed for the better. The paragon points used to be your final slot, and that was a really long grind. The developers made it a little bit easier, and they moved the slots around. You now only get max opals for completing it. Opals are used for currency in the game in order to buy other items from a vendor. They're now very useful. They actually buffed the amount of drops and the drop rate from the vendor that you use to buy the gear. So going through and finishing out the Renown is definitely going to be important. But the most important part of this is going to be your tier 4. That's going to give you the final paragon points. If you complete all of them, you're looking at a total of 24 paragon points. That is a whole lot. So it's really worth doing. Your character will not be as strong as it possibly could be if you don't get this completed. You also gain your skill point first, your potion capacity, and then your skill point after that. 10 skill points if you don't have the expansion pack, and 12 skill points if you have the expansion pack. Those are some big numbers. So make sure this is going to be your top priority. Now, how this works. If you look on the bottom, these are all of the different activities that you complete throughout each zone. When you click on the top here, you can see where you've completed in each zone and you can claim the rewards. Each one is going to be waypoints, strongholds, side quests, areas discovered, side dungeons, and altars of Lilith. Each one of these activities has a different reward value assigned to it. So your altars are going to be 10 per every single time that you find an altar of Lilith. And we'll go over what an altar of Lilith is, where to find them, and then how to keep track of it, because this is actually going to be a lot to keep track of. You have 34 just in this one zone. So we'll talk about ways that you can make sure that you have found all of them and where to go look. Most of these are going to be completed as you play the game. You do have to go out of your way to find the altars of Lilith. The altars of Lilith actually give you stat bonuses for each one that you find, so it is very important that you go through and you find all of the altars of Lilith. In Nahantu, they are actually called Tenets of Akarat. These are a little bit different, and these don't give you stat requirements, but they do help you unlock your final paragon points, your skill points, and your potions. The strategy that I use to complete my Renown, because it is kind of a grind. As you can see here, each tier has its own point system. Tier 2 was 300, and if you look at Tier 3 is 350. It increases every single tier that you go. So in order to make this feel like it wasn't so much of a grind, I saved my strongholds for last. They gave me 300 points. So if I finish all of my Renown up until I got to my 3rd tier, and then I went through and I just completed 3 strongholds pretty quickly, then it was a huge boost into getting Tier 4 unlocked and getting my paragon points. So things to look for when you're looking at your map. This is going to be areas discovered. If you look at this little gray area right here, this is something where I haven't been to yet, and this is going to give me points towards my Renown system. A very easy way, once you get your horse, is to hop on your horse and you just go and explore the whole area, and it'll eventually look like this. You'll have no gray areas left. Your altars of Lilith are going to look like this right here on your map when you found them, and you won't be able to see them until you've actually clicked on it and gotten this reward. These are all of the dungeons that you're going to have to go through. Now, how do you know whether or not you've completed the dungeon if you're coming from one season to another, or if this is something that you've never done before? This little treasure box right here that you can see, this one has a treasure box, and this one up here does not have a treasure box. It has a little orange circle. The treasure box means that that is something you have not completed in this current season, and that will give you renown points. Now, before we go over exactly how to keep track of this, it's tools that will help you do this a lot easier and a lot more efficiently. For those of you that this is your first season and you went through and you completed your renown already, what's going to happen at the end of the season? Fortunately, you weren't here from season 1 and season 2, where we had to do the complete renown system all over again. They patched it. Now your renown will carry over from season to season, so you only have to complete it once. That's why it's super important to just knock it out. I know it's a grind, but get it done. When you start the new season and you pull up your renown rewards, these are showing as locked, like I haven't completed it yet, but I actually have completed my renown. It's showing the little check marks on the bottom here. That means those rewards have already been taken. I've already gotten each of the ones along the bottom. I just haven't completed and gotten the XP and the gold. Now, it's not a ton of XP or a ton of gold. This is 1 million. That is pretty nice. So if you do go through and you're new to the game and you're going to complete your renown, you can get up to 5 million gold if you don't have the expansion pack, and 6 million gold if you do have the expansion pack. So there is a little bit of incentive in there towards the very end. But if that's not a concern for you, you have already completed it, you still get the check marks, you have done those. How to keep track of all of this, because this is a lot. You have a huge map, you have Altars of Lilith, Tennis of Akarat's, dungeons, waypoints, side quests, all of it. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna head over to Mobalytics. This is where I keep all of my build guides. If you are looking for a build guide for leveling in the start of Season 7, it's going to be right here. I will have all of the endgame build guides here as well. Inside of Mobalytics, they have actually added in an interactive map. This is the map right here. This is a map of everything that is going to be inside of the game. All of your Altars of Lilith, the dungeons, the waypoints, all your side quests, everything. You can zoom in and you can zoom out. Now, this is a lot of stuff going on. It's pretty cluttered. Let's say you wanted to focus down. You only wanted to work on your Altars of Lilith first. We're going to go here to the little key, and you're going to click off of everything else other than your Altars of Lilith. It slowly takes away everything else on the map. So if you remove all of this, then you don't have to worry about seeing all of the random stuff that's going to be linked everywhere. And this will help you get through all of your Altars of Lilith. Now, when you go to them here, you mouse over this and then you go to Discovered. This is going to make it very, very easy, and now it shows up as gray. So now I know that I have discovered all of these here. That is going to help me keep track and know if I've missed one of them somewhere. I can go back to my map in-game, and then you can compare it to the map on Mobalytics. So we go back here and you look, if you go right back to this area here, you can see this is the one. So now I know that I've discovered it, and then we click it right here. So this is going to be a very good tool if it's something you want to do. If you are all about completion and you want to explore it and find it yourself, absolutely 100% go out there, do it. As you find more of them throughout the game, what you've noticed is that if you take little tiny detours down these little crevices here, those are going to be the best places to find your altars. They're normally right there. There's a couple of them that are out in the open here, just like this, but they're normally just like a rock cove or an enclosure or something where your altars are going to be. So that's your renown. Make sure you go get it done. It's super important. It's going to give you a huge boost of power going into the brand new season. It'll be a really, really good head start. All of those skill points that you're earning from the renown, when your character hits level 1, you get all 12 of those points. You have them right away. It is a huge jump on the season. If you have not completed it, you will not get access to those skill points until you do it. The second thing we're going to talk about here is we're going to talk about building a planner. This is something that I really like to do. I've already started building a planner for Season 7 for the Barbarian. And what that's going to do is that it'll allow me to pick all of the different skills that I want, and it's already set up for the planner. Now, Mobalytics isn't set up yet, but I'm going to be using D4 builds until we get Mobalytics up and running. This has everything that you need to know already. We have all of our witch powers that are going to be right here. Those are going to be in conjunction with all of the occult gems that are coming in the new season. So now you can link your gems, you can link your runes, you can figure out how you want to set up your build, what gear you want to run. You can actually even set up your skill tree. This way you don't have to constantly respec, spend gold respecking. And probably the most important part about it is that you can do your paragon board. You can figure out where to put points, and you can take them and add them in as you want. You just click and you unclick. This is a great way, instead of spending 5 million gold per respec on your paragon board and then having to put in a whole new 300 paragon points. This is a really, really great tool in order to use to do it. Now, I want to talk about paragon boards a little bit as we're getting closer to the season. And the reason that we're going to talk about paragon boards is because it has changed a little bit. So if you're going to be following a build guide in the season, make sure that if you look at the points spent, you don't look at something with 300, 325 points. You want to find something that says about 200 points spent. That's going to be an optimal board to get started with. Once you've gone through, you've hit level 60, you've been grinding your paragon for a little while, then that's perfectly fine. Normally, the way that I do boards is that I'll have a 200 point board, and then I'll have a max paragon board. This way you can see the differences, but the most important part about doing boards is that you get your legendary nodes and you get your glyphs. So when you're building a board this season, plan out your mapping to go right to your glyphs and your legendary nodes. Not every legendary node is definitely necessary, but most of them are because they've kind of buffed and tweaked them and they made them really, really good. Now that you have enough points to access all of them along with the glyphs, this is going to be a really, really big boost to your power. Now, how do you decide what you want to do and where you want to path? When you're building paragon boards, you have to know your class a little bit. Does your class multiply critical strike damage? Do they multiply vulnerable damage? Is attack speed going to be really, really great for your class? Or are we going to be stacking a lot of max HP if we're going to be running an overpower build? As you're building this, you want to spend the least amount of points working from one point to the other. That's from your board all the way through your next board and then through your glyphs. So let's take this board, for example. I knew that I needed to get the damage while berserking from this side here because I'm going to be using it for my Blood Rage node that's coming up later, but I knew that was something that I was going to be taking. So I turned the board to go this direction here. Now, if I was to go up into this side of the board here and then go up into the next board through this pathing here, I wouldn't have been able to get the maximum life here, or I would have had to travel all the way down and around to get the max life. So you rotated the board. You can just use the rotate board up here to spin the boards around. You can do this anytime, anywhere, which is really, really handy because you can't do this in game. So we rotate around, we choose the path that we want to take. That's how you spend the least amount of points going through this board here. If I was to keep this board here and I was to build around through here and then come all the way down here, go into the legendary node and then come down and get the points here, I've spent more points than was necessary to spend. So there are a lot of different tools out there for build planners that will allow you to do this. It is something I highly suggest taking a look at. If you're like me and you love putting builds together, you love tinkering with them, messing around with things, you don't necessarily have to take somebody else's build and use it. You can look at what the builds are, which I highly suggest that you do. Look at the builds, see what people are using, see where their paragon points are going into, their skill points are going into, and then take some of the more used skills and try and make them work in a unique way. You're going to have all of your witch powers available to you, so it's going to be really, really cool. For the witch powers, I'll have the link in the description for everybody here. The last thing that I wanted to mention was just to join a clan. Our Discord server, that the link is in the top of the description of this video, has a lot of people that are really, really excited to hop into Season 7. We're going to be setting up groups for everybody to go out and level at the launch of the season. You'll have your own assigned group. You all will explore all of the new seasonal content together, the storyline. It's going to be a blast. We've done this every single season from the start of the game, and it is everybody's favorite time. Whether you're new, whether you're experienced in Diablo 4, hop in, there's going to be stuff for you. We have all of our build guides, we have a huge community, a huge wealth of knowledge about the game. It's going to be a lot of fun and we would love to have you. If there's something that you do pre-season to prep for the next season, let me know in the comments. I would love to see what everybody else out there is doing when they get ready for the next season. I'm going to be live streaming a Barbarian at the launch of the season. As soon as it is up, I'm going to be on. We're going to hit the ground running. I would love to see you guys in the live stream so you can see what we're going to be doing. I'm also live every night. Stop by, say hi, theory craft with me. Catch you on the clip side.